Cancel new normal now! Hey guys! Welcome to Critical Beauty Salon. If you're new to this channel, mabuhay! If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so by clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon below to receive instant notification for the next video. And to those of you who keep watching my videos without subscribing, why are you not subscribing? My goal is to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of this month, and once I fulfill this goal, then I can start giving away fabulous prizes. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe! It seems that the COVID-19 global pandemic has caused pageants around the world to be either canceled or postponed. When you ask a pageant organizer as to why a pageant is canceled or postponed, the most popular response would be, quote, "The coronavirus has affected everyone, not just the people, but also our economy, our environment, and our daily lives. We are canceling our pageant this year until the government has assured us that the virus is totally gone." And since no one seems to know when the virus will be totally gone, it begs the questions, what if the virus never goes away? What if it's here to stay? If you were to stage a pageant while following all safety guidelines, is safety guaranteed for all the participants, pageant crew, judges, sponsors, and the public? And more significantly, will pageant fans eventually lose interest in pageants if the coronavirus drags too long, say another year or so? In the United States, for example, several state preliminaries to the 2021 Miss America competition have been postponed for early next year, allowing current state title holders to extend their reign for another year. The state directors for Miss Michigan, Miss Mississippi, Miss Delaware, Miss Hawaii, and Miss Louisiana have all announced that their pageants this year have been canceled. I'm sure the other states will also follow suit. The most recent Miss America, Camille Schreier of Virginia, was crowned in December 2019. Miss America usually takes place in September, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, this year's pageant has been postponed for next year, which will be its 100th anniversary. Several national pageants have also joined in the cancellation bandwagon. Binibining Pilipinas 2020 was supposed to have taken place last May 30th, but was indefinitely postponed. Miss Universe Philippines 2020 Coronation Night was initially scheduled for May 3rd, but it has been moved at least twice, first to June 14 and later to October 25th. God only knows if it will be moved for the third time. Among the major international pageants, only one so far, Miss International, has made an official announcement of canceling the 2020 competition, which was originally scheduled on October 29th, and staging the next competition in 2021 after the Tokyo Olympics and Tokyo Paralympics. With the cancellation of the 2020 Miss International pageant, 2019 winner Siriton Liaramwat will become the longest reigning Miss International title holder in history. The other three major pageants, Miss World, Miss Earth, and Miss Universe, have not made any official announcement at all, though I have a feeling that these pageants will also be canceled this year, and if that happens, it will be the first time for both Miss World and Miss Earth to skip a year. One national director told me that Miss World will still take place in December, and that the organizers are still looking for a venue to hold the event. Miss Universe organization has not released any statement about the 2020 pageant either, although there is a rumor going around suggesting that the 2020 pageant will take place in the first trimester of 2021, which could be from early January to late March. Miss Grand International 2020 will presumably take place in Venezuela again in October, whereas Miss Supranational 2020 will be held again in Poland in December. Other pageants like Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, Miss Venezuela, Mexicana Universal, and Miss Universe Puerto Rico have not made any statements at all. Minor international pageants like Miss Asia Pacific International, Miss Scuba International, and Miss Charm International decided to postpone their 2020 pageants for next year as well. Not all pageants for this year have been canceled. A few have decided to take the risk of staging a pageant, but through virtual platforms like Miss Philippines Earth 2020, which began a virtual presentation of the candidates last May 24th and has conducted virtual pre-pageant events since then. The winner will be crowned virtually on July 5th. Miss France 2021 will take place sometime in December in a city that has already been chosen, but the name remains as a secret for now, according to its national director, Sylvie Tellier. Miss Universe Nepal 2020 will most likely be held with the help of an app. Miss World Philippines 2020 will be staged in December, according to its director, Arnold Vegafria. And during my chat with Miss World Canada director Michelle Westfaldi, her 2020 pageant will take place during the first or second week of November, whereas her other pageant, Miss Teenage Canada, will take place on the first week of September. Miss South Africa 2020 will be crowned on the first weekend in August as the country starts its Women's Month celebrations. Stephanie Weil, the CEO of Miss South Africa, said, "The competition, now in its 62nd year, will continue despite everyone being on lockdown. We will select semi-finalists from all the entries we receive, and this will be followed by the judging, which will be done online. We will then reveal our finalists for the finale in August. As always, the final show will feature a number of top South African entertainment acts and designers and will be broadcast live on Mnet and Mzansi. The only difference is that there won't be a live audience, but rather millions watching from the comfort of their own homes." So with all these pageants being canceled and postponed for 2021, I wonder if all the required safety guidelines, such as wearing masks, washing one's hands, and social distancing, will be the new normal for pageant activities once the coronavirus pandemic has been eradicated completely. Because, heaven forbid, a new virus could materialize unexpectedly anytime, anywhere. While the long-term effects of coronavirus are still very much unknown, it is obvious that the impact of this crisis will ripple through every layer of our social fabric. When you think of it, the new normal in pageantry actually began when the lockdown was imposed. For starters, no pageant journalist or blogger wants to interview a beauty queen in person wearing a mask. I certainly don't. Even if you have to interview someone in person and both parties prefer to not wear masks, you still have to observe social distancing, even though this type of interview may seem less social and less convivial. Not to mention, you can't shake hands with each other before or after the interview. Since the lockdown, social media has been flooded with virtual interviews done primarily via Zoom. I've seen so many of these Zoom-conducted interviews and I'm totally zoomed out. There are also certain aspects of these Zoom interviews or meetings that could be irritating, such as there's always that one person who will dominate the interview, usually the interviewer himself, or that the interviewee struggles to express herself. Sometimes, if there are more than 3 participants in a Zoom meeting, I find myself fixated on the appearance of each participant and on his or her facial expressions, rather than focusing on what they're saying. And if there are 10 or more participants, I wonder if some of them don't even pay attention to the person who is speaking because their mind is somewhere else, or they're distracted by their electronic devices, or whatever. To be honest, I'm not liking this new normal concept at all, let alone in pageantry. To me, new normal is nothing more than a code for giving up some of our liberties, such as restriction in movement, socializing in person, talking to each other face to face, guessing whether a masked person is smiling or not, demonstrating physical affection like hugging or kissing. Can you imagine pageant contestants not being able to take selfies with each other anymore unless they're wearing masks? Can you imagine pageant fans not being allowed to take selfies with them? Can you imagine their temperature being taken every day? Can you imagine them using hand sanitizer 5 or more times a day? Can you imagine the last 2 girls standing 6 feet apart from each other and not being able to hug each other when the winner is announced? Can you imagine the outgoing queen wearing a mask when crowning her successor? Actually, I can. I guess this is all part of the new normal that we will be seeing more often. Comment below if you agree with me. Thank you for watching, guys. Until the next time, meanwhile, stay safe. Bye.